Hello everyone, welcome to Amrita's monthly current affairs series, and we are starting with the July of the polity month. Okay, today we're going to read only about two topics. First, the sixth schedule, and second is the um, your contempt of court. Now, both the topics, sixth schedule, actually, I've told you earlier, we have discussed the fifth schedule, and sixth schedule and fifth schedule are very important for this exam. Even after reading this current affair that I'm discussing, you can again go back to the your basic source, that is Lakshmi Khan. Maybe for majority of you can revise it from there again for this prelims 2020. And contempt of court, we have discussed that much, only that is relevant for prelims. For main examination, some additional points that are required. For example, the judgments are there, some pros and cons of both the sides. The way forward is very important with reference to with reference to this contempt of court. Let us start from the sixth schedule. So sixth schedule is basically the origins in Article 244 and 275. So Article 244 says that the provision of the sixth schedule will be applicable to the administration of the tribal areas in the four states, that is AMTM: Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. Okay. For the other states, those were called the scheduled areas. Those were the 10 states we have read in the fifth schedule. Okay. Under Article 275, the Constitution says that the Union will give some grant in aid for the administration of these scheduled areas, these areas where these tribes live in, the promotion of the welfare of the scheduled tribe. Okay, right. So this is the sixth schedule. So under sixth schedule, we have four states: Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. You can remember like that: A, M, T, M. Right. So this is one of the way you can remember it. Right. So AM, TM. So now let us see one by one. So within the Assam, we have now some of the areas are scheduled, not the whole state is not scheduled. Okay. At tribal areas in these states. So for example, starting with the Assam, let us see. First is Dima Hasao Autonomous Council. Then we have Karbi Anglong. This is Karbi Anglong. And then we have Bodoland. So basically giving them, what are the idea? The idea is to give autonomy to these tribal areas. Now the level of the autonomy is more than what is given in the fifth schedule. Okay. So this is Assam. You need to remember these all as well. So Dima Hasao, Karbi Anglong, and Bodoland, 3 in Assam. Then in Tripura, very easy. From the childhood, we are reading Garo, Khasi, Jayantia. So these are the 3. So nothing to remember. In Meghalaya. In Mizoram, we have Chakma, Lai, and Mara. We have 3: Mara, Chakma, and Lai. These areas. Then in Tripura, we have Tripura Tribal Area Autonomous District Council. So this is a very big area. So these are the areas which are in the tribal areas. Why they are in the news? Because Arunachal Pradesh has also said that we also want to be included in the sixth schedule. Under the sixth schedule, they will get more autonomy to legislate themselves, judicial power, taxation power, regulatory power. They will get more autonomy. Okay. Now this is the fifth schedule. So fifth schedule we have read under the 10 states. So we have read these 5 states are there and 5 states there. Okay. So these are the fifth schedule. Under the sixth schedule, we have these much powers, these much thing that we have to read. So first, starting with the autonomous region. So the governor by public notification can divide the areas inhabited by the tribals into these autonomous zone. First of all. So it is the power of the governor. No president is involved here. In the fifth schedule, we have seen the president was there. Here, the governor is there. So more autonomy, less control of the central government. Then it will be autonomous district council will be created, which will comprise of the 30 members, out of which 26 will be selected and 4 will be nominated by the governor. Okay. Now this autonomous district council in the Bodoland, they have I think 46 members. So we don't have to remember that. We just have to remember this 30 members, all of them are not elected. 4 of them are nominated by the governor and they will serve for the 5 years. Next is the legislative domain. So this ADC, Autonomous District Council, will have the law. They can make law on certain things. So a list of subjects will be provided. On these things, they can make laws. Yes, the approval of the governor will be there. Then very importantly, acts passed by the parliament and the state legislature may or may not apply here unless the president and the governor will give the approval. It is just opposite to the other thing, fifth schedule. Now in the fifth schedule, they will apply by default, and by the governor assent by, they can say okay, this act will not apply. But here it is just the opposite. They will by default will not apply. When these people say okay now apply, then they will be applied. Getting my point? So that goes to show a more autonomous nature of the sixth schedule. Then we have the judicial nature. They have some sort of judicial powers as well, which were not given to the fifth schedule. Okay, so district council or this regional council, they will establish this village council that can take up some suits, some cases on their own, especially related to the land. Okay, and the jurisdiction of the high court over these suits and cases will be defined by the governor. So this is also one of the thing. That means that they have the judicial powers as well. Then they have some sort of regulatory powers as well. So they can establish the school, dispensaries, markets. These things they can do on their own. They don't require the state intervention, all these things. Regulation for control of the money lending, because that is one of the main problems the tribal face. So in the tribal area, this non-tribal comes in. Okay, and what they do, they take up these tribal lands basically, because that's are very, very important. Now we have read, for example, you have read ABS, Access and Benefit Sharing Nagoya Protocol in the ecology. And from that angle, these produce are very, very important. And that is why the importance of the sixth schedule is there. Then they also have the taxation power. They have empowered to collect taxes for land revenues, and they have power to impose certain taxes as well. And Article 275, we have read that they received grants from the Consolidated Fund of the India. So these are the different provisions which is related to the sixth schedule. This is one of the indications as well, one of the examples I can tell you that how you can prepare your own notes sometimes. Fifth schedule, sixth schedule, Rajya Sabha. So make these sort of notes so that in one paper you can revise it all. Okay. And this is how you can create some very important notes as well. Now fifth schedule we have read, for example, declaration of scheduled area done by the president. Then executive power of the central state we have read, tribal advisory council 20 member out of 3/4 are the representatives of the STs. Then law applicable to the scheduled areas we have read. The governor can do on the basis of the assent of the president. So this is the fifth schedule. Now fifth schedule versus this sixth schedule also you need to remember the difference between those two. We have some differences here. Now first of all the context, why it is important. So one of the context is the Arunachal Pradesh has said that please amend the constitution and give us under the sixth schedule. First of all, they have passed this resolution to be included, the whole state should be in the sixth schedule. Secondly, they have also said that we are under the 371 H. We are under the 371 H. We should be given the similar power which are given to under the 371 A to the Nagaland, 371 G to the Mizoram. Okay, and this is why Article 371 also becomes important for our prelims purpose. So you need to prepare that. Article 371 is special provision. There is a separate chapter on it. So which are the states being included? Okay, what are the different provisions being given? Just look into it. Okay, so for example, currently this is the status. So under this, different autonomous power are being given or special provisions have been given. Now Arunachal Pradesh says that under our provision, Article 371 H, the provisions are given only and only for maintenance of law and order, right? Special responsibility with respect to law and order. What about this protection of the customary culture, giving more autonomy? You can see common for Mizoram and Nagaland. This Naga customary culture, Mizo customary culture and practices, religious and social practices. This is not given to us. Hence, we require more of an autonomy. We require more autonomy from the state. Okay, and that is why they are saying from 371H we need to go to 371A or 377G, similar to the provisions that are given to the Mizoram and the Nagaland. Now let us see some of the more difference between sixth schedule and the fifth schedule. Obviously the sixth schedule is all having the more autonomy, and that is why Mizoram is asking for it. Sorry, Arunachal is asking for it. The difference between tribal advisory council and this autonomous district council, we have seen that tribal advisory council has a more advisory nature, while the ADCs have executive function, legislative function, judicial functions, taxation functions and the regulatory functions, right? Councils in the fifth schedule are the creation of the state legislature. So it is up to the state legislature to create these TACs, while the sixth schedule ADS, ADC are part of the constitution. It is a constitution which says, hence the ADCs are at a higher pedestal than this fifth schedule TACs, tribal advisory council. Then financial power, we have read that they don't have the financial power, the taxation power. Then this ADCs receive fund from the under Article 275 from the state, but this TAC under the fifth schedule, they do not get any fund. So these are the few things you need to keep in mind. So that is the difference between fifth and the sixth schedule. So that's the end of our first topic. Next topic is contempt of court. Now they are in the news because of the Prashant case. Prashant Kumar case. I'm just forgetting his name. I watch his so many videos. Right, Prashant Bhushan. Sorry, yes, Prashant Bhushan's case. So a very different set of very interesting set of events that have taken place. Right. So whether you agree with his thought, his works or not, but the whole case that pointed out contempt of court, how arbitrarily it's been done, and finally what's been the outcome of it, goes to show that we need to rein in this contempt of court. Now, judicial accountability itself is a very umbrella topic under which one of the problems or the issue of the judicial accountability, under which a very important component is the contempt of court. Okay, so judicial accountability is the overall umbrella under which this impeachment, this contempt of court, right, rising cases of the judiciary without any explanation, without any accountability, these are cases are coming. So contempt of court are also part of it. Okay, let us see. So contempt of court, basically what it says, that if you show any disrespect to the court, then you will be contempt, you will be given contempt of court. And the idea is, obviously you cannot lower the authority, defame his public image and make the public lose faith in the impartiality. Because if public lose faith in the judiciary, then everything will fall apart. And this is the main idea behind it, behind the contempt of the court. Okay. Under Article 261 also it says that the full faith and credit shall be given to the judicial proceedings of union in the union in the state. That means that to ensure Article 261, we need to have the contempt of court so that they enjoy full faith and the credit. And for that, you have to have some sort of a punitive power or contempt power. Now, under the constitution where all these are mentioned, under Article 19(2), contempt of court comes under the reasonable restrictions. That means your freedom of speech can be curbed if it is a contempt of the court case. Okay, so this is what you need to keep in mind. Okay, next is Article 129, the power of Supreme Court to punish. Under this, Supreme Court shall be the court of record, shall have all the powers of a court, including the power to punish for the contempt itself. Then High Court under Article 215 have the similar power. Then Article 144(2) also, the Supreme Court has been given the power to punish anyone for its contempt. Okay, right. So if we talk about contempt of court, so we have two types of contempt. First is the contempt in the civil area and one is the contempt in the criminal area. Now, every scholar says it is fine. This civil contempt is fine, but the criminal contempt is an issue because when we'll read it, we will identify it is very subjective in nature. So, for example, civil contempt. So, what comprises of civil contempt under the Article 171? One important thing I have not told you, it is written here. This contempt of court is not defined in the constitutions. So now the definition purpose is being done in the, not under the constitution, it is being done under the Contempt of Court Act of 1971. Okay, so under the civil contempt, we have the willful disobedience if you show to the order of the court. For example, court says that you have to be present in the court and this so and so time and so date, and you do not go, then the court can say civil contempt and you will be given the punishment under the civil contempt. Now, criminal contempt, it is the publication in any way, whether you are writing, whether you are saying something, you are writing something, you are conveying something of any matter or doing which scandalizes or tend to scandalize the court, means which lowers the authority of the court, which lowers the authority of the court. Effect the undermining the public confidence in the judiciary, then you scandalize the court. If your content, your publication interferes in the due course of the judicial proceedings. And third, if it interferes and obstructs the administration of justice. If it does any of these things, then it will be a contempt of the court. Okay, and this is the main area. So when you say that they scandalize the judiciary, so these are very subjective in nature and they have a chilling effect on the judiciary. For example, any court, any judge, if it finds that if I'm not doing well and someone wants to say anything, someone wants to do a constructive criticism also, they can be punished under the contempt of the court. One very important thing that you need to keep in mind, that this contempt, for example, today I have done something that falls under the contempt. But if for 1 year I am not given any punishment, then I will not be punished. That means under the 1 year, this process should completely take place. That is that. Okay. For each of these things, there are Supreme Court cases, then they have clarified actually a few of the things, but that is not important for us, at least for prelims. Punishment, yes, punishment is given. Jail term you can be given and fine you can be given. So for example, Prashant Bhushan was said that he'll be given the jail term for the 6 months if he does not apologizes. Right? There are some exceptions to the contempt of court, and this you need to keep in mind. First, if it is a fair and accurate reporting of the judicial proceedings. Second, any fair criticism of the judicial order. Third, any publication, okay, is a merely defamatory attack on the judge and is not intended to interfere with the administration of justice, then it will not be a contempt of court. Getting my point? If it is an attack on a judge, but it does not impact the administration of justice, it will not be a contempt of court. But you tell me, it's very subjective in nature. How will you say that it is not affecting the administration of justice? Right? Then in 2006, amendment has taken place. They have said that if it is true, if you are coming up with the truth and it actually Supreme Court is in doing the wrong thing, and if it is true, right, if it is in the public interest, then it will not be a contempt of court. But again, it is very subjective in nature. So that's the end of the session, everyone. I told you only 2 topics I have to discuss. Actually, both the topics are of August month. Okay. But I have to cover it because it is a very important topic. That is why I thought that I should cover here in July month. In July month, we don't have any specific news related to the polity which was important for our prelims purposes. So let us see 5 questions that we do. Which of the following have the authority to extend the provision of the part 6 of the constitution related to the panchayats to the 5th schedule of the area? So for example, I am telling you 5th schedule does not apply, or this panchayat provisions, once 1993 Panchayati Raj provisions do not apply to the 5th schedule areas. Okay. So they are saying that if we have to apply this to 5th schedule area, so constitution says that someone has authority to apply these panchayati rules to the scheduled area. So who is that authority? Whether the president, the governor, the parliament, or the state legislature. Getting my point? I hope you are getting my point. Okay, so you must have read about this PESA Act, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Area Acts. Now, this is an act. That means the authority will be of the parliament, isn't it? And that can be also the authority of the state legislature, but in this case, it is the authority of the parliament. Okay, so Article 243M says that while exempting the 5th scheduled areas from the Part 90 of the Constitution, that's the thing I said, the panchayat provisions are not being applicable to the 5th schedule. Okay, but it says that parliament by law can extend the provisions to the scheduled and the tribal areas, and by the recommendations of the committee of the Bhuria committee, they have come up with this PESA, that is Panchayat Extension to the Scheduled Area Act 1996, that has extended with certain modification this Panchayati Raj system to these scheduled areas. Okay, scheduled 5 areas. And all this implementation takes place under the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Remember, not the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. So this thing you need to keep in mind, Ministry of Panchayati Raj. And obviously we have read the 10 states which are there for the scheduled areas. So answer is Parliament. Next question is, consider which of the following statement is not correct with reference to the District Planning Committee, DPC. District Planning Committee, which of the statement is not correct? It consolidates the plan prepared by panchayats and the municipality. At least 2/3 of the member are elected members of the district or panchayat and municipality amongst the member. The representation of the members of the DPC is in proportional ratio between the urban and the rural areas. Very good question. State legislative marks the provision for functions of these committee with respect to the district planning. Which of the statement is not correct? Sometimes we tend to forget or we tend to leave these areas of panchayat, but some of the areas are very, very important within the panchayat, because these are in the fag end of our textbooks, right? So you can pause the video and you can try to answer this question. Let us see. So this is basically committee on the district planning committee. So under article 243ZD, they have provided all the information with reference to the district planning committee. Okay, right. So basically, if you see one, provided that not less than 4/5 of the member of this committee shall be elected from amongst the elected member of the panchayat at the district level. Okay, so this is not 2/3, that is 4/5. Let us see one by one. So it is a committee created under article 243ZD. First, at a district level for planning at the district and the below. Yes, they consolidated the plans which are prepared by panchayats. So panchayat has created a plan that are being consolidated at this DPC level. Okay, and they prepare a draft plan for the district. Okay, state by law can make provisions with reference to composition of the district planning committees, manner in which the seats of the committee shall be filled. But yes, not less than 4/5 of the members shall be elected by and from amongst the elected member of the panchayat at the district level of the municipalities. Getting my point? So those who are already elected, they should at least form the 4/5 part of the DPC. Okay, and yes, the number will be in proportion to the rural areas and the urban area population. So these are the few things in polity, few things you need to cram, you need to understand. If you're not able to understand, then cram. So these things you must do. So it consolidates the plan. Yes. The representation in proportion between the rural and the urban area. Yes. Makes the provision for function of this committee. Yes. This is wrong. This is 4/5. Okay. Let us see the next question. Consider the following statement with reference to the district council in the autonomous district constituted under the 6th schedule. So this is the 6th schedule we are talking about. The parliament is empowered to increase or decrease area of the autonomous district. The member of the district council are elected on the basis of the red franchise. District council are empowered to collect the land revenue and make regulation for the control of the money lending by the non-tribals. I hope you get this question right, because we have recently, in this video only, we have discussed about the 6th schedule and we have discussed about the autonomous district council. This is the same thing. Okay, try this question out. You can pause the video and try this question. Right. So we have read that autonomous region, 30 members, 26 are elected, 4 are nominated. So it's like if one statement becomes wrong. It is the governor, not the parliament, which has the power. So it is not the parliament. Okay. Acts of the parliament do not apply to the autonomous district. They will apply with some sort of modification and on the approval by the governor. Or the governor will decide. Okay. So all the things we have read. Let us quickly see the answer. So option 1, wrong. It is not the parliament but the governor. All the members are not elected. 4 are nominated and district council are empowered. Yes, we have discussed that they have the taxation power. They have the regulation power to do this because they have the autonomy to do this. Next question, something related to international affairs. So India has signed the Vienna Agreement, the Nice Agreement and the Locarno Agreement in order to comply with the obligations of ILO, WTO, WIPO and UNCTAD. Each and every convention you don't need to keep in mind, but you need to keep in mind similar this type of question you need to keep in mind. That's it. Okay. So this is basically related to the WIPO treaty, World Intellectual Property Organization. So basically, E is the search for trademark and industrial design. So Vienna Agreement is for figurative elements of the marks. All these are part of the IPR. So you don't have to remember a lot. Remember this Vienna, Nice and Locarno Agreement are related to WIPO. They are related to the IPR and India has acceded to it. That's it. Okay. If you're going too much into it is not important, because in the prelims they require more of an horizontal coverage rather than the much of a vertical coverage. Okay, you can read it out. I have put it here. So this is related to the WIPO. The last question of the day, very easy question. Epidemic Disease Act, very important, because this was in the news. We have discussed actually also this because of the corona, right? Enacted for the first time in order to tackle what it has been enacted. Bengal famine, the bubonic plague in the Bombay presidency, cholera in the Madras presidency, dengue in the United Province. You can also say this is a question of the modern history, right? Which is the right answer? Right. So it is a law which 1987 they have come up with this law 1987. So it was enacted to tackle the bubonic plague in the Bombay presidency. Okay, so it providing a special power that are required for the implementation of this containment zone. Under which act you are doing this containment zone and controlling the species and this spread of the disease? Now this was not only being applied during this dengue crisis, this corona crisis. Before also that this has been applied. For example, in 2018 it was applied to remove this cholera or to defeat the spread of this cholera in the Gujarat. In 2015 in Chandigarh with respect to dengue and malaria. So one line can be this also. So this act has been implemented for the first time currently. No, this is not right. Okay. So the answer is B, bubonic plague in the Bombay presidency. So that's the end of the session, everyone. Let us quickly revise what we have read today. So we started discussion on the 6th schedule. So we have 6 schedules: AM, TM, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Manipur. In the Assam, we have 3: Dima Hasao, Karbi Anglong and Bodoland. In Meghalaya, we have Garo Khasi Jaintia. In Tripura, we have only one, that is Tripura Tribal Area Autonomous District. And Mizoram, we have Chakma CLM. Something like that you can make. Okay. So LCM you can make. Lai, Chakma and Mara, that is in the Meghalaya. Then 5th schedule, 10 district, and the 6th schedule we have read. Then the powers which are there in the 6th schedule, right? Autonomous region, legislative domain, judicial domain, regulatory domain, taxation power. Then we have compared with the 5th and the 6th schedule. We have also read the idea, the requirement or the demand of the Arunachal Pradesh to shift from 371H to 371A or 371G. Not to shift, but to give a similar sort of power which are there in the A and G. You can say the government can also amend, or the parliament can also amend this H also, 371H also, and provide the similar sort of power or privilege that are given in the A and G. Okay. Then contempt of court, we have read contempt of court, the constitutional provisions related to it, and then the civil contempt and the criminal contempt, the parts of it. Then the 5 questions we have discussed. The first with reference to who has the power to extend the provisions of the Article 19, that is PESA. So PESA Act was done in the parliament. Then the question on the DPC, District Planning Committee, very important, 4 by 5th member we have read, should be elected among these people. Then District Council under the ADCs, and then Vienna Agreement, Nice Agreement and Locarno Agreement of the WIPO. Then Epidemics Act under the bubonic plague of the Bombay presidency. Okay. So that's the end of the session, everyone. So we have discussed the polity of the 14 month. In the last 2 months, I have given you the questions from August month for 2021 prelims. We will have the 5 questions in every session, and we're going to change a lot of things. Best of luck for exams. We have still economy and science and tech left. We'll complete it very shortly. Thank you, everyone.